YouTube, this is the top 16 of the new pack day, and I have one question for you. Ryu-Ge, how is this in the top 16? What the heck? Well, Nicky Boy, a top tier Tenpai player, got top global in the DC Cup, is now on a new deck. And even he is not sure how he got here. So we're gonna find out how good this deck is. From my understanding and from playing the deck myself, the deck is all about the field spell. So if you could stop the field spell from setting up a ton of cards similar to how Branded Fusion sets up a ton of cards, then that's gonna be your key to beat this deck. But with Pot of Extravagance, we could eat their ash. That's gonna be great. Let's see if that happens, mate. By watching as long as you can, that greatly supports the events, even if we're on in the background. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Pot of E's got to be the first activation of the main phase. Randomly 6 cards from our extra deck is now gone. Eats the ash. Just like that. That would be like negating a non-branded fusion card, and then they have branded fusion in hand, which is exactly what they have now. They do have a Cyframe Gear Gamma, which is actually not going to be that good. The Mistva is an effect that cannot be gammaed, and it's going to search for the field spell. So it's not even a monster, so you can't gamma that. And there's the field spell. And the field spell is only good if the Mistva is in the extra deck. It's, you know, this is a tight deck of conditions that need to be met in order to be good. We're now going to use the field spell, which these cards are in a way kind of garnets. They have to be in the deck to activate the effect. And now we're going to summon from the grave, from the banish, from the deck. Triple body on the field. Anva is going to destroy itself, which obviously you wouldn't want to gamma negate. Now, we are going to not chain link block the Anva, but we're going to chain link block the Mistva instead to tribute a monster and summon itself from the extra deck. The Anva is setting up a trap from the deck into the back row face up that could pop a monster on the field. This is not a chain link block. The Kaiva, it's not a trigger. It's just if 2 cards were destroyed, we can now special summon itself onto the field. We have the Ryu-Ge end ready to get popping. Mistva is here. Let's pop our field spell and the Anva to set up 2 continuous spells. We now have a Varudras. As we now Ryu-Ge Rising, search our deck for another Mistva. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what the heck happened here. The continuous spells give the ability to a Pendulum monster all their abilities. Otherwise, if they're not a Pendulum monster, they have to match with the card on the art. So this would be the green thing. So this now gives the Pendulum the effect, I would ideally want to use this in the damage step, to reduce a monster to 0 attack. And then this gives the effect of when an effect of a monster only on the field with less attack than the Pendulum monster, 3800, activates, this would then be able to negate the activation. So we have reduce, negate the activation. Negate the activation is the only disruption here based off of this. But this is also a mini floodgate. Any monster from the field to the graveyard during the opponent's turn is banished instead. And then we have Varudras, which is going to be able to negate anything. And then we have the Ryu-Ge end, which will be able to target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. We also have Ash Blossom. It's about Quadra Disrupt. Yep, let's go. Remus. Searching for the Ravine. Now Gamma needs to be dependent on there being no monster in the field in order to activate. So this is when we could now Gamma negate the Varudras attempting to negate and destroy the Ravine. We could Ash Blossom negate the Gamma, but the Gamma's activatable more than once per turn. It will then be activatable later, but they're likely going to be committing to a monster before we even activate anything. Ash negate. So we have the Mistva, negate a monster on the field only. The Ryu-Ge end, pop a monster on the field. Okay. Get rid of that field spell. And we're going to Ryu-Ge end, pop that right away. Get the apples out of here. Be gone. And with a monster negate left, we're still good. Now, from here, we just win. And you may be thinking, wow, Ryu-Ge is good. Yes, if they resolve the field spell, it's a very good deck. But you could Ash the ad, you could Ash the effect of someone for the deck, you could just... Probably the final effect is what you may be wanting to Ash, which possibly is the safest one. Even though they may get messed up with the Mistva. If you negate Mistva from putting itself in the extra deck, then they don't have Mistva in the extra deck to use the field spell. But then they have the other Ryu-Ge card, which can specifically put the Mistva into the extra deck if you negated the Mistva itself. So I would say negate the effect of summoning from the deck. That is the Branded Fusion play. Nicely done. Yeah, sprint into Elf. We have Remus searching for the ravine. Let's speed this up. Or load, equip, and now there's an issue where the Borland is going to get super polyed, and the Imperm is going to go even with the Crystal Wing or the Heretic Seal. Otherwise, this would have the effect of negate a monster in the field, negate anything with Borload, negate a monster, spin a card back. That's 4 forms of disruption. We have Baldrake. If we don't consider the Bestial Banishes to be disruptions, which it probably isn't against Ryu-Ge, we could just look at the Baldrake with the effect to banish a monster summoned from the extra deck. So that would give us a total of 5 forms of disruption, with Super Poly deleting 2, and then Imperm deleting 1. So we'd only have to deal with 2 forms of disrupt. Is that going to be the way? Let's see. Imperm onto the Crystal Wing, down to 4 disruption. Super Poly, discard Rivalry, fuse away the 2 darks, as I was saying. Now they're down to Heretic Seal and just Baldrake. Well, we have another disruption. The Dissipator being reborn off the regain since it was properly summoned, which will now be able to, in response to a monster effect, destroy it, not negate it. Melody, discard, search our deck here for a Mistva plus the Anva. Mistva is the key card to get to essentially the Branded Fusion play. We're going to set up the Amba and the Mistva. Mistva, search for the field spell. Yeah, this negates that. If your opponent is responding to the activation of a spell card or effect, which this is the effect of a spell, we get to negate. We did not? Negate your opponent's card or effect activation in response, then destroy this card? Oh, you did. Okay, it did not. You're just applying the effect. It does not activate on like a Chain Link 2. It's on the resolution. There we go. It protected. Search for the field spell. Got the Mistva in the extra deck. Triggered that. I thought we were not activating the Amba. Like, you what, mate? Now the Ryu-Ge end can pop a card on the field that is a monster. We're going to set up the War Zone. And this is the core choke point, the secondary effect, which will summon 3 bodies on the field. This must be stopped. We did not stop it, so we're in big trouble. Triple body on the field, and the Kaiba special summonable. Amba's going to pop a monster on the field. Dissipator's now going to be able to negate because there's a banished card, which we turned on the negate with Dissipator mate by banishing the Rivalry. And now they have Baldrake ready to banish a newly summoned monster from the extra deck, which would likely be a Varudras. Regained is going to return a card back, draw a card here. Mistva activate Varudras, which will trigger the effect of the Baldrake to attempt to banish it. Varudras will negate and destroy a card on the field, mate, as the Druiswarm further activates to send a card on the field to the graveyard that is a special summon monster. Destroy the Dissipator, trigger the Mistva, trigger the Druiswarm. So what's interesting here is the Mistva tributes as an effect, not a cost. So let's read that. The effect is tribute a level 10 Ryu-Ge and then summon. So because it's not a cost and you're the higher chain link with Druiswarm, wouldn't it make the most sense for Druiswarm to get rid of the Emva so that the Mistva does not get summoned? I would think so. So we are getting rid of the wrong card here. Got rid of the Varudras. Now we contribute on the resolution of the effect, summon the Mistva, which can then destroy 2 cards we control. Our back row, and now we gain the ability to negate a monster on the field, and we have the ability to return a card in the field back to the hand. Oh my Jesus, what the heck just happened here? Kaiba. During the main phase of 2 or more cards were destroyed this turn, special summon this card from your hand, and then you can place 1 Dino Domains you control to the bottom of the deck, then target other cards in the field up to the number of different monster types on the field, destroy them. Destroy, destroy, destroy. Triple destroy with the Kaiba, mate. You what? Serenir could be spun back with the Sea Spires effect, or the Ryu-Ge end could just pop it. Place the continue spell to the deck, target 1 card in the field, return it to the hand. If we wanted to even do that, which we do not have to do. We had a pop, we had a bounce, lethal damage with the Garura. The Kaiba field nuke was crazy. Oh, that was so good. Return Dino Domains, target 3 cards, and get wiping. Now, this kind of snowballed off of getting rid of the Vardros instead of the Enva, right? Because the Ritual was able to set up those continuous spells, giving us that field wipe. And then also, you know, that bigger body and the ability to bounce a card back to the hand. But this is inherently going to be a benefit when you play a deck like Ryu-Ge. Your opponent's not going to know how to respond. They shouldn't, right? All right, as we were hopping into this duel, there was something even crazier about that Ryu-Ge duel that the chat helped point out to me. As remember where the Swarm did not target the Enva as the Mistfoe was activating to tribute it on resolution? Well, they couldn't even target it because they had the trap face up, which had the additional effect of your opponent could not target Ryu-Ge monsters you control card effects, making that play even better. They just had no choice. They had no way to even stop it. Crazy. Do not imperm this. Imperm the Link 1. Search a Veiler means they have Maiden already in the hand. That's obvious, which means they obviously have a way to get another Sage to normal summon with the field spell. Cut off one of their ways to summon a Blue Eyes, cut off their ways to get Blue Eyes Engrave. The Maiden will now be following up with a True Light. True Light's going to set into the back row our Wishes. Wishes get rid of our dead Fool loss. As we search our deck for a Roar to get Blue Eyes plus a Veiler since we can't normal summon the Sage. We're going to Roar Blue Eyes onto the field, chain the Max C. Now that's a draw 2 if the Maiden also triggers, which ideally we're going to say no. No trigger to you. Just on the blue. Whoa, we're going to keep on going into a Hieratic Seal. Draw 2 for that Max C, set the Purge and pass. What do we have? We have triple Monster Negate, return a face-up card back to the hand, plus Purge, negate an interaction with searching the deck. Not as good as Ash. Now, this card is quite interesting. As if you shotgun this card right away onto the field and then make your other plays, it puts your opponent in an awkward situation where if the opponent activates anything whatsoever, we could not trigger the effect, but change the effect to summon a monster from the deck and then synchro. We have the Wedju Temple, plus the Senj in the back row, summon itself from the back row, searching for the Golem. Golem put itself into the back row, send the back row for the Doom Dragon, forcing out the activation of the Hieratic Seal, which will then chain the Tristaros to the activation of the Heavenly Spheres. This can go into a Dragster if we want to, potentially try to negate the Purge. We're going to summon a level 5 from the deck. And yep, Dragster is here. Did we have to summon it into defense? It also just got spun right back by the Hieratic Seal, as we now summon for the deck a Magna Hut. We have Inclusion attempting to search the deck. We're going to negate. Not today. We have triple Veiler. Let's turn this into a Photon Lord to negate one of the effect Veilers. As the Sulfador pops the Inclusion to reborn itself, then activate to send 2 cards on the deck to the grave. We're going to Veiler negate, Photon Lord negate the negate, and then we're going to Veiler again, negate through the negate negating our negate. Not today. Negate the Photon Lord. Oh boy. As we now can't send 2 cards from the deck to the grave, where do we go from here? The Inclusion and grave can reborn a monster. Holy crap, we're just playing right through it. It didn't even matter. We go into the Synchro. The Synchro could add back a card in grave or that is banished. And Veilering this is not that great. They're now, are you ready for this? They're gonna summon 3 bodies on the field. Well, they're gonna plus 2 bodies, I should say. They're gonna pop to summon 2, then summon another body in grave or that is banished. So the 3rd body's gonna summon, that's the official plus 2. Let's now turn this into an Amatrix. Amatrix, as we now go into a Cyber Dragon Nova, into a Cyber Dragon Infinity, which we don't want the Infinity to negate the True Light activation of its effect to summon from Engrave. If Infinity can negate that, let me double check if it can. The Carter, yup, it can negate the True Light, so we make sure to activate that first. We're going to Smiger, search for a cluster, which could pop a card on the field. We're going to discard the cluster, reborn the Sulfaneer, pop itself, and then summon from the deck here another Tristaros. Say goodbye to the Blue Eyes and the Magna Hut, searching for a barrel in the end phase. Yep, here comes the barrel. Now let's talk about their forms of disruption. Photon Lord, negate a monster effect. Infinity, negate anything. Nibiru, tribute off the field here. And then the Tristaros could summon from the deck to synchro into, I don't think it's a form. Well, we do have Dragster returned back into the extra deck. So that's going to be a spell and trap card negate, which will be able to negate the True Light if we don't activate the True Light before it properly resolves. Let's double check on that. Trap or effect of a spell or trap card. Yep. Triple disrupt plus the Dragster. I'll make it 4. Spirit with Eyes of Blue is going to be jumping off the field to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Photon Lord. Negate. It does not destroy, so a monster that's already tributing itself off. A perfect negate with the Photon Lord. Let's True Light Infinity negate the True Light and destroy it. You know, we got the barrel. But if we activate barrel, that will change Tristaros to go into the Dragster, which will then negate the Lordy Load that we're going to set from the barrel. This is not looking good for Blue Eyes. We're going to Maxi, hopefully draw into a card here. Now, they may not synchro because of Maxi, and then the Lordy Load will now not be negated. Nope, they don't care. Okay, we're going for 2. Barrel is going to potentially be baiting the Dragster with the Lordy Load, then we follow up with Wishes. That's the way. Off of what we drew from the Maxi, we have another play, negate the load, and it gets destroyed. Follow up with the Wishes, discard the Ash Blossom, come to us Majesty to non-target pop, multiple cards on the field, as we have Maiden to reset up the True Light, which already activated this turn. It's now time for Typhon. Typhon can battle over a monster, then spin another, say goodbye to the Infinity, and then obviously we're going to want to spin away the Dragster before it negates the True Light or Majesty. The Majesty is going to only be able to pop 1 card here, unfortunately. We don't have a second copy to Blue Eyes. We're going to be setting a card from the hand to set up the Senjin. Senjin's going to on summon search for another Senjin. We now have a Little Knight on summon. Banish a card, going for the Majesty to non-target pop a card on the field. The Little Knight didn't even want to keep the Typhon on field by banishing to protect itself. We have Sulfador, pop on the Sulfaneer, summon itself from the grave here, trigger the Sulfador, and trigger the Sulfaneer. When destroyed, we're going to summon a monster from the deck and send 2 cards from the deck to the grave. What are we sending? We have the Fistform, which could search our deck for a monster by banishing. We have the Inclusion, which could reborn a monster by banishing itself. Dragster back for the 3rd freaking time. You what, mate? Inclusion, reborn, a Crystron monster in grave. Let's turn the Smiger into a Clockwork Knight. The Smiger can now be searching the deck for a spell or trap, where the Thirstfern searches for a monster. The Inclusion will be able to search our deck for a monster. True Light on the attack is going to activate to attempt to reborn a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which the Dragster will negate and destroy, which will then destroy the Typhon on the field. 4,600 damage on the field here, but we are still just going to scoop it up. Crystron slapping up Blue Eyes left and right. Wow. That was a pretty good duel. Begin. Sage with Eyes of Blue, searching for the Maiden of White. Come forth. Spear with Eyes of Blue is going to be negated by the impermanence. Negate. Now, when you have Ash Blossom, you know that you're going to be negating the wishes that the Maiden can essentially search for. So because of that, it could have been okay, only because we have Ash that is, to use Imperm onto the Sage normal summon. Wish, negate. Not today. Because then the only real way you're losing to that is if they're, you know, the problem is it's not just 2 Maiden. So you gotta think about this. If we Imperm Sage, how does we lose to the Imperm on Sage? If we're the one using Imperm on Sage. If in their hand they have another Sage, what's going to happen is they're going to make a Spirit Link, Mausoleum, additional summon the Sage, search for that Maiden, and then you're just sitting there with Ash waiting to be used on a Wishes. So to get rid of all that nonsense of thinking, just Imperm on the Spirit with Eyes of Blue if you see a Sage. Of course, that is negated. We just don't want it on the field. And say goodbye to the Spirit Dragon, wiping away the field here. We have Purge, we have Impermanence, just double disruption, which is not bad. I mean, through in Ash, Imperm, and Nibiru still having double disruption. Clockwork's going to get the Smyger Engraver to search our deck for the inclusion. First, the Little Knight's going to banish a card on the field. What? How do you perfectly? No way. If I imperm you, you're going to chain banish the token. The Purge is gone. The imperm is gone. The Purge was going to be used to negate the Smyger search for the inclusion or negate the inclusion search for the Sulfador. How did this happen? Completely decimated by the Little Knight. And, you know, Purge could have potentially just been in the hand. Now, they would need a card in the field to negate the Smyger, which potentially would have just been the Little Knight banishing the imperm if we didn't try to make it jump off the field. Or we could use the Purge to negate the inclusion here if it was safely tucked away in our hand. And now you're going to see this is essentially... So if you want to learn Crystron, what is... I mean, this is going second, so it's probably going to be a bit different. But what does a normal summon Smyger do, essentially? As the Sulfador is going to send from the deck to the grave the Thisfern and a Sulfaneer. Thisfern's going to banish, searching for another Smyger here. We already activated the effect. We're going to discard it. We're going to True Light, Reborn. This is not a form of disruption. We're going to call by the grave, finger that Blue Eyes White Dragon before that Reborn happens, and put away your notepad and paper pen because we're not going to see what the full play is of a normal summon Smyger with nothing else needed. Begin. Set 4 pass with the Max C. Is that better than set 5? I mean, Max C plus 4 is quite nuts. Let's Fiendsmith Tract, search our deck for the Engraver. We can negate a special summon, banish the entire field, banish the Engraver and a monster on the field. We could imperm, so we got 4 good forms of disruption plus that Max C. Draw per special summon. It is now time. Reborn that Lurie. Engraver is going to be searching for a Tract, which we already activated. We're just going to end our turn. That's it. Triple Tactics Talent, draw 2, come to me. You don't have pressure to commit under Max C against a trap deck because you know you're not going to get one turn killed next turn. You have to really think, why does Max C feel so bad when it ends your turn? Why isn't it just a -1 like it was back in the day? It's because all of these decks have the capability of one turn killing you. That's a lot of hand traps, mate. Labyrinth, welcome to it. We're going to use the Ice Dragon Prison to reborn the Engraver, then banish the Engraver and the Lurie. As we can get back to those cards with Lacrima, and now we have a set 5 pass. They're waiting for us to make a play, so we have to make minimal plays. We're gonna welcome Labyrinth, attempt to summon from the deck, Ash Blossom, negate. Now the welcome Labyrinth will reset itself onto the field if a monster leaves the field through our simultaneous equation cannon would be the way. Maxi again, LZ, okay. LZ is going to activate to summon itself onto the field, chain Maxi. We do have Ash Blossom to negate the Maxi, or even better, cross out, designate, negate, keep your Ash for the Welcome Labyrinth, or Big Welcome Labyrinth. Negate. LZ is going to search on resolution for the Sylvie. Sylvie on summon is going to be searching. We gotta be ready for the simultaneous equation. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, so it's like 2, 2, and a 6, 3, 3, and a 4. Simultaneous equation cannon is now happening. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we need 3 monsters, where 2 of them have to be the same rank to equal 11, and then you need 1 rank plus 1 level combined to equal 1 monster on the field. So what exactly would that be? A 3 and a 3 would be a 6 plus a 5, but then a 3 and a 5 is an 8, so that doesn't work. So what about a 4 and a 4, 8 plus 3? A 4 and a 3 is still not... Is this even a full field banish? 5, 5, and a 1? Oh, you're right. The most simple one. 5, 5, 1 is actually a banish. So we're going to Impulse. Yup. Chat knows math. We tried to get the 6 off the field because a 5 and a 5 and a 1. We have a 1. Oh my Jesus, the 1. 5 and 1, 6 banish the entire field. Nuts. Wow. We had a way to stop it, but the impulse stopped our stop. Solemn Strike, when a monster would be summoned or activate a monster effect, pay 1,500, negate and destroy. We saved the Ash. We did not use it on their max C. Negate the Welcome Labyrinth. Solemn Strike negates the Ash. Is this the end for Costanza? We got hit by a simultaneous equation. There's now a lovely Labyrinth, which will be endlessly recycling traps from Engrave. Yeah, it probably is it. And now it can activate, which will then make the Lady activatable to summon itself from the hand. Veiler negate the lovely, come forth and summon. The Lady, in response to any of our trap card activations, even your impermanence, will be able to set another trap from the deck. Now, being able to stop the first recyclement of the lovely Labyrinth, I would say, is definitely very good here. We have one more Veiler to stop it again, because once it recycles a trap from the grave, it's pretty much over. If not over already. Simultaneous equation cannon again. Can chat very quickly calculate this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is what? 4 and a 4 and a 1. That's not good. A 3 and a 3. 6 plus a 3. What is it? The chat's not. It doesn't know. Chat doesn't know. They don't know. It's just a set. It's not a banish. Oh, he scooped. We didn't get to see it resolve. What the? Okay. Rivalry. Each player can only control one type of monster. That's going to be annoying. So Fiend would be the way. We're no longer under the effect of Shifter. Cards are no longer getting banished. We're going to Tract, add a Lurie. Discard that Lurie, reborn the Lurie, and now we're locked in a Fiend only as soon as we flip up the Rivalry, which there's no point in activating it right now. We have Requiem, which will be jumping off the field to summon from the deck here. We have not been using Solemn Strike. I think we're saving Solemn Strike. There could only be one and Rivalry? What the? Now, Solemn Strike is mostly to protect the big welcome from an Ash. That is what you want to be thinking. And Rivalry. So we could only control a Fiend and that's it, nothing else. That's it, and we can't even go into another Fiend. So you can't even turn Engraver into a sequence. You can't turn it into a Requiem. Big Welcome, Ash, Blossom, negate, Solemn Strike, negate, the negate. Generally, the heavy trap version of Labyrinth, they take out the furniture cards. No Chandelier, no Stovey here. Instead, they got the simultaneous equation cannons. Return Lady back after being summoned. Summon itself back onto the field. 2,900 defense. Is this a play? Is it a full field banish? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So a 5, 5, and a 1. That's it, right? Yeah, okay. 5, 5, 1. 5, 5, 1. 5, 5, 1 again. Got him. 5, 5, and a 1. And banish the whole field. Jesus. Super balanced. 3K to the face. Trap trick. We're going to chain a Fool Loss to the trap trick to chain link block the Lady from setting a trap from the deck. There you go. That was the correct play. As we're going to set up a Dominus Impulse. This is really sad. I hate floodgates. Shite. 2-0. We have an Ash Blossom against Crystron. We have Smiger would be a huge debate. I would, the problem is when you try to bait your opponent into using a card, they could always use Droll and Lockbird on your bait, and then your real card activation would then get negated, which would be a big problem here because we want the inclusion to go through to search for the Sulfador. We want the Smiger pretending to search for inclusion to be negated by Ash, when I think the best use of Ash is actually going to be on the level 2 tuner trying to destroy the Synchro, summoning 2 bodies from the deck here. But in this instance, the Ash would actually just work on inclusion. You have to understand that a hand trap, usually at best, you want to reduce it to a coin flip, a 50-50 of it working, and that's at best. If you don't use your hand trap correctly, think about you're rolling the die and you're trying to roll a 6. between 1 to 6. That's obviously not good. But sometimes that happens, and then you may be tricked into thinking that you used your hand trap correctly if they now end their turn. Clockwork Knight. And then you have a hand trap activation where you're rolling a 0 out of a 0. There's no... This Ash would do nothing. It would be bad. Horrible. We didn't do it. Good job. This would be a die roll. We didn't go for the die roll. We want to go for a better hand trap play. I think this is a better use of Ash, much better than the Inclusion Search. I like the effect of trying to pop the Synchro to summon 2 bodies, but this also worked out. It sets up the graveyard. We set up the cluster. We have the cluster, which will be able to pop 1 face-up card the opponent controls. I think it could be any face-up card, not just a monster. Plus, we have Nibiru. Double Disruption plus Maxi. Harpy Feather Duster wiping away the cluster, as we now just have Nibiru. Lordy load into the barrel. Barrel's going to set from the deck a Drill Beam, not activatable this turn, obviously. Let's make a Spirit with Eyes of Blue. I choose the Mausoleum to our hand. Maiden, discard, set up the True Light. Maiden, semi-limited. We have both in our hand. We're going to set from the deck a Wishes, activate the Mausoleum, discard the other Maiden, search our deck for a Roar plus a Sage, which will be additionally normal summoned here. On the additional summon, we're going to grab a Veiler, so even if we get disrupted by the Nibiru, we still have that +1 disrupt. Summon for the deck a Blue Eyes White Dragon. As we now trigger the Maiden in grave, we could we can't because the Spirit with Eyes of Blue blocked it, but then the Spirit can reborn the Blue Eyes by turning the Blue Eyes into a Tyrant Dragon. If it's our only Tyrant Dragon, that's, not ideal that we lose the Tyrant Dragon unless we're going to be using its benefit of being able to attack into everything this turn. Now no longer being under the lock of the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, we could summon Blue Eyes and then summon Maiden, but now under max freaking C. What do? Reborn, a Blue Eyes White Dragon, do not trigger the Maiden, attempt to go to battle, which at the end of the main phase, we can Nibiru the field as the Tyrant Dragon is about to recycle a Trap and Grave, which there is none. We're just going to Nibiru. Let's do it. Tribute it off. Now, Sulfador is activatable from the hand or grave, and 2-Pack's got to be thinking, hey, we're kind of okay now as long as there is not a Crystron card on field. There has to be a Crystron card on field for it to destroy and then summon. We also have to worry about potentially Inclusion. Inclusion, reborning the Sulfador, would also trigger the effect, so even without a Crystron card on field, we're not in a good spot. How do we disrupt this? Is Terratop not summonable here? I don't think so. I think Nibiru is blocking it. You have to control no monsters to get Terratop in. Reborn the Blue Eyes, which will now turn on the Drill Beam. So with this, we have Drill Beam, target, negate, and banish anything on the field. Imperm, negate a monster. Veiler, negate a monster. Triple disruption. Inclusion, attempt to search the deck. Successfully goes through. We did not negate and banish. Now, by summoning this first, we can now respond to them activating anything to summon from the deck to then go into a Dragster to negate another spell or trap card. We're going to pop the Inclusion with the Sulfador. On summon, activate Sulfador to send 2 cards from the deck to the grave. Veiler, negate, did not chain the Tristaros to go into a Synchro, because we're just going to Synchro with them into a Samurai Destroyer. We're going to now banish the Tristaros to destroy, what? Banish this, destroy a Synchro, and then special summon 2 Crystrons from your deck. Okay, so it's only if you do. If the Drill Beam's going to negate, then banish the Destroyer. But Destroyer says that if this face-up card leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can target a machine in your graveyard, special summon it. Kid Art, you like outplayed like crazy. Wow, like going into the SAM-D, thinking that they would banish it was really smart. Because you normally are supposed to go into the Crystron Synchro, which obviously if they Drill Beam that, you'd be in a much worse spot. But wow, well done. Think about SAM-D into Papa Tristaros, and if they try to disrupt that, then you have additional plays. Trigger the SAM-D, reborn the Sulfador because of the Drill Beam banishing it. Maiden of White, reborn a monster on the attack, unfortunately. Still get rid of that Sage. They still have an Impermanence, and unfortunately we have to pass. Nibiru blocking the Terratop special summon, which I think goes into Binny. Binny, send a Smiger from the deck to the graveyard to the play. Barrel, set up the Lordy Load. Drill Beam and Grave will just reset itself. We're going to grab another barrel, so the drill beam would be activatable just from the barrel being in hand. So, holy crap, that thing's 9,400 attack. Okay. We only have 15,000 damage on the field. Lethal damage. I do commend Kidart for the Sam D play, though. That was good. Inclusion. Search our deck for Sulfador. Sulfador, special summon. Pop the inclusion here. We have no disruption whatsoever. So if you want to know how to play Crystron, what is this play? This play is one inclusion. Nothing else to extend. One inclusion. What do? Sulfador, send from the deck a Smiger and Thisfern. We're going to search for a cluster. Thisfern's going to be searching for a monster, likely to be normal summoning if we want, or not, because we have not used up a normal summon yet. Now, the level 7 Synchro could potentially grab a monster normal summon, or we just don't normal summon at all. We discard the trap. Now, normally the level 7 Synchro will grab the trap back, as we're going to do exactly that. And with the level 2 Tuner, we're going to pop the Synchro, 2+2 bodies in the field. This is not +2 yet, this is +1. This is now +2. We're going to turn this into a Cyber Dragon Nova, into a Cyber Dragon Infinity. And the inclusion is going to reborn a monster in grave. The Sulfador is back as we set and pass. So what did we accomplish? We have negate anything with Infinity. The Tristaros could go into a disruption like Dragster to negate a spell or trap card in response to them activating a card. So if they shotgun the wishes and we don't activate the Tristaros yet, obviously it's not going to be negated, then the Infinity would have to negate it. We then have the Impermanence negated monster on the field. We have Cluster, which could pop 1 to 2 face-up cards on the field. At the moment, it's just pop 1. We have Ash Blossom to gain interaction with the deck. We have Nibiru, tribute off the field after 5 summons. Now, if we read the wishes, it says you can only use each effect of wishes once per turn. So if you negate the activation, you cannot activate another one, unfortunately. Barrel, we're going to Imperm. This could have been an opportunity where you activate Tristaros to Barrel, then chain Imperm to Tristaros so that we can get that Dragster out on the field ready to negate something like Wishes. Spirits with Eyes of Blue. Now, by waiting, how do we benefit by waiting? Why are we not just going into Dragster right away? By not going into Dragster right away, we have in our back pocket a Quarion. Quarion will target 3 monsters the opponent controls and or in their graveyard. Think about 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons in the grave. You could banish both of them, plus a Maiden. So do expect that potentially instead of a Dragster. Grab the Maiden. We're going to send a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck to the graveyard here. Oh, are we doing it? This is not Dragster, right? This is Quarion. We're going to banish 3 cards from the field and grave. Chain Maxi, we have Ash Blossom or Cross Out for that Maxi or Infinity to negate. 3 ways to negate that Maxi. Negate. Does Quarion have a cutscene animation? I think so, right? Get ready. Woo, we're doing it. Quarion is here. He does have the animation on summon. Banish 3 cards. Blue Eyes, Sage, and Barrel are gone. Yup, all 3. Banished. Nicely done. Now the Roar could summon a banished Blue Eyes. It does just come right back onto the field, or the Ash negates and now you can't mate. Not today. You've still not used the Wishes. We have Cluster. We still have Infinity negate. We have a Pop. We have Infinity. We have Nibiru. We still have Triple Disruption. In response to the act, we could pop 2 because we have a Crystron Synchro. 2 cards be gone. Lordy Load and True Light. Wipe it. Inherent back row destruction is going to be really good against a Blue Eyes deck. So what was Konami thinking? Semi-limiting Sage and Maiden as the deck was already naturally declining. What the? 1-1. All right, we're going to barrel set up the Lordy Load. This is going to be a Hieratic Seal plus a Drill Beam, double disruption play. And we have Terror Top plus Foolish Burial. Both of these are combo starters, but they're going towards the same goal of getting a Smiger and Graveyard to search for the inclusion. Maxi in response to the special summon Commitment, getting that Blue Eyes White Dragon onto the field here. We're not going to be summoning another Blue Eyes and then go into Hieratic Seal. We're just going to pass. Just like this, This is our one disruption instead of two because of the max C. Target, negate, and banish anything on the field. We're gonna start this off with the Terror Top, searching for the Take Tomborg. Getting ready for the Binny. Take Tomborg into a Clockwork Knight, as we now go into Little Knight instead, because we already have Foolish Burial. So it's either Binny or Little Knight. Very nice. Banish away the Drill Beam, and then commit with our other play. Little Knight normally cannot banish a Blue Eyes White Dragon because True Light states you can't target Blue Eyes, but there is no True Light in sight. And now we have Inclusion or Foolish. So if you have Inclusion, you want to bait with your other cards first. Bait with other Disruption. If they were to disrupt this, we'd still have great plays. And then even more so, normal summon this. If they now respond to the Inclusion with an Ash, we would be able to chain summon from the deck and Synchro. Self-Adore, pop the Inclusion, on summon, send 2 cards in the deck to the grave. You have Smiger, search for the trap. Sulfaneer could then discard the trap to Reborn. The Synchro could then add the trap back if we wanted to, if that was the play to do. We have the level 7 Synchro, add back the banished Smiger. We'll discard that card instead. We're going to use the Tristaros to pop the Synchro, summon 2 bodies in the deck, which are allowed to be in attack position and be allowed to attack. What the heck is that? As now going to a Cyber Dragon Nova instead of getting more damage on the field. This is main phase 1, but we want to be careful about any potential hand traps here as we further commit to the field. We're going to summon Sulfaneer, pop Sulfaneer, summon from the deck here, Sulfador, as we further go into a Dragster. The Inclusion will now banish from Engrave, Reborn, the Tristanos. This is the way. Did we forget? Oh, okay, we banished a Little Knight. We could not attack directly. To be clear, that would have been cheating after banishing the Drill Beam. So that is exactly what we were doing instead. We have the Cluster, pop 1 of 2 cards in the field. Infinity, negate, Little Knight, chain banish. Dragster is going to negate. And then Tristaros, after Dragster negates, could go into the Quarion to banish up to 3 cards. We have Droplet. And let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nibiru is the 7. I didn't count Nibiru yet. We're going to chain banish the Blue Eyes White Dragon off the field. 6 other forms of disruption plus a max C. Lordy Load, negate the activation of the load. You cannot activate another copy of the load after the activation was negated. Now down to 5 disruption. We have Quarion whenever we want. Summon a 2 and then Synchro with you. Yup. We have Sage on summon, negate the activation of Sage and destroy the Sage. Sage is not a hard once per turn, so we would be able to just summon another one if we want to. Roar is going to attempt to summon, and on the resolution of the summon, I guess we go into Quarion and banish whatever you summon. Let's go. Uh-oh. Summon for the deck into Quarion. Crystron, Quarion, banish 3 cards on the field or graveyard. Does this target monsters your opponent controls and or in their grave? Goodbye to the Blue Eyes, Barrel, and Sage. Genroku in the battle phase, going to jump off into a Pydra. What the heck is going on? We're going to cluster pop the Pydra plus the load before the resolution of the Pydra. We could be searching our deck for a Kaiman though. Kaiman to our hand. Kaiman activate within the battle phase. As we now add to our hand a Chandra, then special summon itself onto the field. We could Droplet in the damage step as it activates at the start of the damage step. Deuce, half of 15, swinging into its death here. GG, no re, as this is now the end. Oof. It was a good surprise though. You had 3 duels where the opponent did not know that you were playing Tenpai until the very last play in the 3rd duel that could have won the entire match. Ferris, discard the Infernal Rider, chain max C. Oh boy, keeping heroes in check, but we do have a Forbidden Droplet to at least be leaning on as the Ferris is going to trigger, put the increase into the back row. We are ready to non-target negate. The favorite contact mate, I don't think this will be a form of disruption, will it? Fusion that mentions a hero ignoring its summoning conditions. Does the Infernal Rider help us summon the big one? This requires an elemental hero, Neos, to even summon to then take control of a monster, so I think we just have Droplet. Engraver, searching our deck for the Fiendsmith Tract. Is this a loss? Yeah, and you know, this is why I want to highlight the importance to all of you of playing a lot of hand traps. Oh yeah, because he stopped him and that's why hand traps are good. No, because if you get max seed or full lost early, or they even disrupt your main play, you could have a bunch of hand traps that you just naturally had turn one that you're passing to your opponent. You at least have 2 to 3, maybe even if you're lucky, 4 disruption after they stopped your main play. Now, ideally, you could be a deck like Snake Eye Fiendsmith, where you could also just have a ton of hand trap resilience, where you could play through a ton of hand traps. That's also great. But most rogue decks or non-top tier decks like Heroes are not going to have that luxury of a ton of hand trap resilience. Thus, hand traps would be good. But Heroes also don't have room for hand traps. You know, these are just the big differences on why a deck is super top tier versus one that is not. Not enough room for non-engine. Not enough hand trap resilience inherently. 2 big pillars of a good deck. Divine Temple, put into the back, we got nothing. So let's speed this up. Summon for the back row, Nightmare Phoenix, let's pop away the favorite contact. Trigger the Poplar. Contact is going to be fusing into the Malicious Bane. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, but can be pushed back by a Doom Dragon, can be pushed back by a Flame Burge. It can be pushed back by the Diablo Star just attacking into it. It's outed. Come forth, Rasala, go. Go into the deck. Come to me, Original Sinful. Send from the field, summon the Oak, Reborn the Poplar, Oak, send Poplar, summon the Flame Burge, push the Malicious Bane, and just like that, inclusion, equip into the back row, does not matter. 9,900 damage, lethal. All done. A hero lives into Max C with no way to stop that Max C. What the heck? We could follow up Fusion Destiny, then pass, at least have a DPE on the fields. Shadow grab a mash change. What? We're not special summoning with that, we're adding. Okay, that's add or special summon. We're searching with the Adusted Gold for a trap, Dark Supremacy. And we are at least gonna activate the Fusion Destiny, draw 1 for a DPE, it's a good trade. This is much better than our other duel, despite being under the effect of Max C. We do have the ability to summon a Dark Law, ensuring that any card sent to the grave would be banished instead. Could also banish a card randomly from the hand. I'm just gonna, count it as 1, Dark Law. Droplet can negate monsters in the field. We have DPE to non-target pop a card in the field. And is the Supremacy even activatable? Up to the number of Dark Fusion and spells that mention it in your graveyard. Well, surely one of these mentioned Dark Fusion. This one does. Is there anything that mentions Dark Fusion in here? I don't see it. Yeah, it does. So we have Evil Assault. So we are able to target cards up to the opponent controls, which can negate anything. Spell, trap, or monster effect negate. Quadra Disruption. And perm off the top of the deck. Not cool. We just lost our DPE. Divine Temple. We're going to chain Dark Law Summon. Any card randomly added to the hand, we're going to banish any card from the hand randomly. Any card sent to the grave will now be banished. Got that floodgate-like effect here. Shadow Mist searching for nothing. Call by the Grave is not turning off any other forms of disruption here. Negate. Did banish. Sure. Let's see how we play from this. Oak has nothing to reborn. What can we do? Nothing. Now, the Diablo Star, why didn't we Diablo Star? Well, let's read the Diablo Star. This states that you are going to be sending a card from your hand or field to the graveyard, which you can't do. So how do you special summon it? You can't because Dark Law's on the field. Got him. Cash to normal summon Birth, but didn't we already normal summon? We normal summon Oak, but yeah, Birth normal summon Diablo Star actually was a play, but Original Sinful, you can't send to the graveyard under Dark Law. negate a monster, banish, negate anything, negate with Ash, pop a card with the Promethean Princess, 8 disruption, and we have a brick, a brick, a brick, a brick, and a single play that's not even a trigger effect and requires our normal summon. I end. Yep. All right, I end my turn. I don't even. Not gonna even give you the satisfaction. Oh my Jesus. Turn endo. All right. Better than surrendering. Thank you, Grand Magus. You did get top 16 at least. That's good. Begin. Wish it. We have no disruption whatsoever, so we're just going to speed this up. This will negate an activation of any card only on the field, and it will not destroy it. Sifra will negate a monster effect no matter where it is, then destroy any card in the field, which doesn't have to be the monster effect that activated, and it has to destroy something. We have Majesty, which will pop 2 cards in the field, non-target. We have Valor, negate a monster effect on the field. And how many plays do we have? We have Darkblade and Anguish, which are competing for our normal summon, and we have 1 form of extension through the Memento Fusion. Oh boy. We're gonna set up the Memento field spell, Darkblade on summon, discarding to pop a back row card. We're gonna Valor, negate the Darkblade. So we are losing our Valor as we're chaining a Memento Fusion. We're going to negate the Memento Fusion. Now, Memento Fusion could still destroy the Darkblade and search our deck for a Bone Party, potentially, to continue to make plays with. So that 1 form of extension is now turned into 2. 2 for 1 in 1 card. Pop the Darkblade, there's the Bone Party, exactly as I said. We're going to trigger the Acheron to Reborn. We're going to be negating the Acheron and destroying the Memento field spell. So no Reborn of a monster, no add back and Reborn, or it would just be Reborn then add back later. Bone Party pop the Combined Creation. We have Anguish searching. We have Majesty now. Just 1 form of, we do have Magna Hut, which I should consider as another form of disruption. Sleepy, summon, activate, fuse, wipe 2 cards on the field, and we could not fuse to the grave. Could only fuse with our hand or field, and we only have 1 card. So not a valid fusion. Sleepy, when destroyed, send from the deck to the grave. The horse, we still have Combined Creation. Return 5 cards back to Reborn. Should we have Bestialed this while they had a monster? Well, it's not a light or dark, which is a massive benefit. We're going to give it the ability to have piercing battle damage. Protected from battle, take 1,000. Protected from battle, take 1,000. That's it. Back to you. We're going to Magna Hut, banish the Valor within the end phase. There's nothing in grave. Now, in response to them activating, we could trigger Combine to summon Anguish, not the turn that it already activated. It's hard once per turn, so it would have to be the next turn. But then it would search for a Mace, which could then take control of a monster. We're done, though. Just scoop, thank you. Let's hop into game 2. But I'm very happy that you played that out. Start off with a horse. Horse going to pop itself, sending up to 3 cards from the deck to the grave. It could be 2 or 3. It depends on what level you're sending from the deck to the grave. We're going to Reborn Gaddock. Gaddock's going to add back the Sleepy. We're not able to Droll yet. We're going to summon a Sleepy. Sleepy's going to be fusing. Mind you, this play played around Droll. If we Anguish, we would not be able to Twin Dragon search for 2 cards from the deck, which is a lot better than Anguish search for 1. So I'd really like to know, Hawkeye, did you consider Droll and why you made this play instead of normal summon Anguish? We got hit with the earliest Droll possible, and we still have pop many cards in the field. This could be pop up to 4 cards in the field, negate 3 monster effects, and I don't think popping the horn off of the Creation King is going to turn into any other extra forms of disruption. We do have Reborn Anguish to then search for Mace to take control of a monster after they activate something. That's 5 disruption plus a max C. Under the effect of Droll, what Parry Resmap has to be the first activation at the start of main phase. Grab a Sage. We did not trigger the combined creation, but now we will. Reborn Anguish, grab Sleepy instead of Mace. So what's going to happen here is if we don't destroy the Horned Dragon, we wait to summon Sleepy to pop the Horned Dragon with the Twin Dragon. This will then, by extension, pop the Twin Dragon, then pop 2 other cards in the field. It's still 5 disruption. Instead of take control, we got pops. And it's a Blue Eyes deck, so you can consider popping to be a lot better than just taking control of a monster. Because we want to be popping True Light. Negate the Sage. Get popping. Keep the Horn, as I said. And now the Sleepy is activatable from the hand, where otherwise it was not. We had to wait for a Memento to be destroyed. As we now hop into game number 3. They're going first. Parry Resmap, Sage to 2, Maiden to 2. So that's our 3rd Sage, probably. Searching for our limited to 2. We have the Mausoleum. Additionally, summon the Sage. Search for the Maiden. Let's speed this up. Maiden, set up the True Light. Wishes, discard, searching for a Roar and a Veiler. We're going to Roar a Blue Eyes White Dragon onto the field. Not sure why we didn't search for a Sage to just normal summon and search for the Veiler anyway to still have an extra body on the field. Target the Maiden, Reborn the Blue Eyes White Dragon, True Light, set up a Majesty into the back row. We're going to Wishes, equip onto the Blue Eyes White Dragon, come forth into a Spirit Dragon, as we now go into Cipher and the Ultimate. What are our forms of Disrupt? This is pretty much a repeat of game 1, right? It's a little bit different though. Negate a monster, negate anything, pop multiple cards. We could finger a card in grave. We could Veiler negate a monster. About 5 forms of disruption. How many plays do we have? This is where I'm stressing that we really need to be able to destroy something. If a Memento is not destroyed, we don't get the effect of during the turn in which a monster in your possession was destroyed, only then can you special summon this to then perform a fusion summon play. Same thing with Memento Fusion. Only during the turn where a monster was destroyed in your possession are you even able to fuse with the graveyard. So if they can figure out a way to not destroy you and negate you from destroying yourself, then the Sleepy's dead, the Memento Fusion will be, you know, a little more dead than it is. Now, Memento Fusion can still use the hand and field, which we have 3 bodies to use it with. So this should still be in a good spot. Anguish, Veiler, negate. So making sure to not destroy it. Chain Memento Fusion. Ultimate is just going to negate. But then we have Memento Fusion, which will be able to destroy the Anguish, which will turn on the Sleepy to be summonable. And how do we stop it? We can't, because if we Majesty pop it, it's still being turning on Sleepy. So let's read this exactly. Destroy. If you do, add. If we Majesty, we stop the add. And we know they're going to be adding a Bone Party here, likely. There we go. There's the Bone Party. Sleepy's now summonable to fuse with the Horned Dragon. Use it up. We have the Called by Majesty and Cipher. We're going to negate the effect of searching for 2 monsters. Negate. We have to destroy a card in the field. We destroy our own field spell. We protect it with Cipher. Bone Party, pop the Twins, summon a Dark Blade. Dark Blade, pop a back row. Going for the True Light, as we also have the Twin triggering to Reborn a monster. We're going to chain True Light to Reborn a monster. We're going to Call by the Grave, finger the Twins, so you're not able to Reborn a monster. Thus, we're left with just Majesty. Non-target pop with Majesty, which is a pop 2. Reborn Blue Eyes. If True Light gets destroyed, it won't, because Cipher will protect. There we go. We tried. Dark Blade attempt to pop itself, and only if it pops itself will it summon a monster from the deck. So we're going to pop you for you, thus you summon nothing, and you're now out of plays. Shoot. While I definitely commend you for not playing Fiendsmith, I don't know if maybe Fiendsmith could have helped you win any duel that you lost just by being able to go into the moon at any moment. If you could get 2 bodies in the field, the Fiendsmith plays could also possibly be eating up disruption before you even get into the Memento plays. Fiendsmith is also a full bridge into your Memento cards without having any Memento in your opening hand. I'm not saying that Fiendsmith is definitively better, because then you're likely taking out other non-engine, or you're maybe taking out other options from your extra deck. It's unfortunate. Let's hop into another match. If Fualosa Maxi did not exist, 100% you gotta play the Fiendsmith way. But as you can see, we're now under Maxi. So this Imperm not being an engraver, think how much better that is. That is a lot better. If this were engraver, then we'd be in big trouble. Now, you could argue we're probably still gonna lose. Yeah, probably, but if we had at least one other hand trap with this, if we had 2 hand traps, maybe this was a super poly instead, ideally, if we drew into that randomly, then 2 hand traps against a Max C, then we could have still been this duel. Well, you know, let's see if the Imperm's enough. Well, we could Imperm this, and the 1-for-1 is dead, and the Imperm doesn't turn... Ooh, we did not Imperm. Ooh, wow. I feel like that was a good Imperm. I mean, we see their hand, but... Damn, 1-for-1 dead, triple tactics talent dead, call by the grave on nothing, Imperm pretty much ends their turn, and then back to you. Huh. Okay, let's Bone Party, summon, Darkblade, pop. This is the cooler play, straight up. I love it. I just don't love it because we see a triple tactics talent. Otherwise, I agree with this, but damn, that TTT is gonna mess it up. Draw 2. Shizer. That's 2 plays. They drew into 2 different plays. It's like 3 plays pretty much because the 1-for-1 could discard if we add another monster. Oh my Jesus. Draw 2 is pretty good. I mean, who would have thought that Pot of Greed is good? It's very good, actually. This is 10,000 damage. Okay, you have nothing in hand. Nothing on field to disrupt, nothing in grave. I could now go into Fiendsmith if I want to. Do we even need to? It's game without it. It's still 8,000 damage. No, we had Imperm on the Diablo Star would have been good enough to end their turn, but of course, we don't see their hand. Now, if we Imperm Diablo Star, they have an Ash, they normal summon Ash, and then we're like, well, why didn't you save Imperm or just any other extender normal summon in addition to that? Imperm could be thought that I'm gonna use it on an Ash, I'm gonna use it on a Poplar, I'm gonna use it on a Sequence even. Begin. Summon Z-Horse. We're dealing with just a Nibiru here. And this is an instance where, as we're all discussing, because a lot of you want to know, how do we disrupt this deck? If we stopped the horse and they didn't have a way to cross-out designate it, the Memento Fusion would be dead. There'd be no way to use this. So in this play, stop horse was the way. But of course, they had cross-out designator. Yep, let's talk about, and the Fracture Dance even, damn, even after a really good Nibiru and wasting their crossout, if you control a Memento, if the combined, you could destroy 2 cards in the field. It's a target, then a non-target for both of the destructions. So pop 2 for 1 disruption. We can, in response to them activating, we could reborn the Creation King. And we could also, with the field spell, reborn the Anguish, which will search for a mace to take control. Creation King will also pop multiple cards. The Memento Fusion will be able to fuse into a Guardian Chimera potentially. It's about 4 forms plus the Nibiru, so 5 forms of disruption. 5. We could maybe squeak out a Horn Dragon, then pop it with the Bone Party potentially. So maybe 5 to 6. Let's Fracture Dance. Pop, then non-target pop the Nibiru. Which Nibiru is a material to summon a moon in the closed heaven. Any body on the field is a potential Fiendsmith playing. We're going to Creation King on the Tribute activation to search the deck. Pop it. Now we can trigger the field spell, reborn the Anguish, reborn the Acheron. The Anguish is going to be able to search our deck for a mace to take control of a monster. Maybe take control of a Snake Eye Ash or an Oaks before they could summon a Flame Burst in the deck, may be a good play. Let's Bonfire, add from the deck the Poplar, trigger, special summon itself onto the field here. Trigger on summon, searching for a Divine Temple. With the Divine Temple, we're going to be met with a Memento Fusion play. Will this be a Guardian Chimera pop 2? Yes, it will. Get ready to pop 2. On the resolution of the Divine Temple, let's get poppin'. 1-2, wipe away you. Mace take control of the Poplar before you can link it off. Normal summon Oak, there's no Poplar, what the heck? We're gonna go to the battle phase, take out the Poplar, put itself into the back row as the Oak can now summon from the deck something to make a play. Wait, we're not gonna do that first. First, we're gonna put into the back row the Flame Burst. We're gonna chain Bone Party it up. Bone Party is gonna non-target pop a card from our hand or field to then summon from the deck the Dark Blade, which is gonna pop the Flame Burst. Do we have 2 level 1 fires to Reborn? We do not, so at this exact moment, this is the play before the Flame Burst is activatable. Nicely done. But after all of that, they now have Fiendsmith. Balance. Unbelievable. We had Fracture Dance. We Mace took control. We Guardian Chimera popped for 2. We Creation King popped a card. We used like 4 good disruptions? Wait, why did we end early? What the heck? We may not be playing Lacrima. And that is a reality with Snake Eye Fiendsmith. If we check on the site here real quick, because I want to double check to make sure we didn't just completely misplay. If we type in the word not and then type in Lacrima Crimson, you gotta type in Lacrima correctly. There it is. Are there any recent decks? May 25th, Lacrima was, legal and available at this point, where this Mad Lad is playing just 1 Engraver. Not a Tract, not a Lurie, not a second Engraver, not the Lacrima Crimson tier. That's up to 4 cards you'd have in your extra deck, instead just having 1. Normal summon the Goblin, popping itself, send from the deck. Acheron's gonna trigger off of a monster being destroyed. Gaddock being sent to the grave through a Memento monster is gonna Reborn, add back a card in grave. Gaddock, come to us, Bone Party. Acheron is gonna make it so level 9 monsters can attack directly this turn. That are Memento ones. Chimera cannot attack directly. Scoop! To game 3 we go. Yeah, I think Kang's not of course he's not playing Crimson Tier. That would have been the play. The fact that tier limit players, top tier ones, were asking to extend the time limit at least for the grand finale because they kept timing out, that's beautiful. I love that. I mean, we are all watching Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially competitively, to look for mistakes and incorrect plays. That's the best thing. If you're watching a professional soccer match, you want to see them screw up. I don't want to see just perfect play. That could be boring. Yeah, the Star into the back row, Deception Sinful. So a deck like Tier Limit Tier 0, there was a lot of options of just making incorrect plays, and especially the time limit just being a massive constraint to further make those misplays or just even time out and lose. Negate Deception with the Ash, that is a good negate, but then they have the follow-up mate. We didn't even have to use Cross-Out Designate. Ain't no way. And if we were to negate the Ash, we could have Bonfire, grab Poplar, a ton of hand trap resilience. A big reason why Snake Eye Fiendsmith is super top tier. Reborn the Engraver, burn per card in the field, 1,500. Whew, almost game. That was a close one. Let's make a Promethean Princess. Reborn back, obviously a hard once per turn, right? It's not 1,800. 15, 18, 4,000 damage. First turn kill. Shite. Gimmick Puppet is not the only... So even the question has been answered. A lot of people I saw in the chat, how could you not be playing Lacrima? Where's the Lacrima? We want to play first turn kill instead of Lacrima. That's why. Let's do it. Fiendsmith plays will be the first thing you want to be going into because the Spright plays will lock you into level 2 only. Let's grab the Lurie. Lurie activating Grave. The Maxi may be happening, but the Cross-Out Designate will just negate the Maxi. So with no disruption in sight, let's speed up in game to see what they end up with. We have an untargetable Masquerena in red, not a form of disruption, but it is protection. We have Masquerena into a double Little Knight Banish. Or it could go into a Goddess because we have so many bodies, which could not only deal with the monster, but then also negate an effect that would reborn from the grave and also maybe negate another card in the field, possibly that's a monster. So I'll just count it still as 2 disruption off of the Masquerena. 2 special summon negate with the Wave King Caesar, and it's an activation negate, which Branded is happy about. With a Branded lost against Caesar, you cannot negate Branded Fusion. We have Red, which will negate a monster effect. We have Carrot, which will negate a spell and trap card effect, and will only destroy it if we tribute off a Link or an Xyz. We then have the Baldrake, which could banish and also banish a monster from the extra deck. This is about 8 forms of disruption. Can Branded play through all of it? Well, if any deck can, it may be Branded. Rebellion searching for Serenir. Goldsark to search our deck by banishing a Mercurial or Tragedy. Mercurial's going to search for an Albaz monster. Grabbing the Cartesia, which needs an Albaz on the field or in the graveyard to special summon from the hand. Serenir is going to use up one of the High King Caesar negates here. We're going to chain Branded Opening, which can add or special summon for the deck. Does not discard by cost. We don't lose a card from the hand as the Wave King Caesar uses up both of its negates. Down to 6 disruptions left. Okay. Serenir will trigger being sent to the grave to send from the deck to the grave a Retribution. Shrouded Dragon will send from the deck a Branded Fusion to draw a card, which the Retribution could add back. We're going to activate Branded High Spirits, reveal the Albaz, send a Titan Clad to summon a Quen during the end phase or an Albaz. With the Albaz in grave and searching a kit, we could special summon kit, search our deck, or a Branded in white. We could return back the Cartesia and then fuse with the Branded in white. Branded white's going to use the Albaz in grave. Carrot is going to negate. We don't have a negate for Branded Fusion now. We could add back Branded Fusion and use it. Retribution, add back Branded Fusion. And it's now time. We're going to Masquerena, link off into a Little Knight, banish the kit. Bunny. Oh, no, we're going for Titan Clad, leaving the kit on the field. Elf is going to reborn. What do we have here? We still have the secondary banish of Little Knight. So let's talk about this on the activation of Branded Fusion. What do we have left? What do these 4 fingers mean? The secondary banish of Little Knight, the monster negate of Red, the banishment of a Lighter Dark from the grave, plus the banishment of a monster from the extra deck with the Baldrake. So 2 disruptions are tied to that Baldrake. We're going to chain Little Knight to banish the Elf and the kit. So now we're down to 3 disruption left. Red and the double disrupt of Baldrake. We have Albion, Branded, Dragon being summoned here. Now, you'd be thinking, do I banish an Albaz in the graveyard with the Baldrake? The problem is they have 1 Albaz, 2 Albaz, 2 Albaz. So banishing 1 Albaz obviously would not be a good form of disruption. A problem here is we didn't have a way to chain link block the Albion. Do we even have a light monster when sent to the grave from the deck to be on chain link 2? We don't. If we sent a dark monster instead, like Tragedy, it could have been chain link 2 to the Lubellion Dragon, but we need a card from the hand to discard to even summon the Lubellion Dragon to dodge the negate of the Spright Red. Now, is it over for Branded? It's not. We still have a Branded in red play, which the Baldrake will definitively stop. Right now, the Baldrake could banish the Lubellion, which is a way to get the Albion engraver to then search for a Branded in red during the end phase to then, with the toggle on, activate Branded in red and still go into a Mirror Jade play. Or we could just wait for the Branded in red to then banish the Albaz that's being targeted by the Branded in red. Let's see what happens. We're protected from being destroyed after tributing a monster from the extra deck. Tribute off for the Lubellion. Branded in red fusing with the Albaz is that we're going to Baldrake banish the Albion before it even searches during the end phase for that potential Branded in red play. And you got me. We pretty much used all their disruption. We played through all of it, but then it went even with us. We had no other play left. Let's hop into game number 2. A lot of people, mostly Asian players I've been seeing, are taking deployment out because, you know, the idea of Fiendsmith, maybe not so good against Maxi or Foolos. Well, same thing with deployment. Deployment can help you play through hand traps, but not if that hand trap's a Maxi or Full Loss. Instead, they're playing Allure of Darkness, where they could just draw into ensuring that the Maxi, they'll only get one draw from a Branded Fusion play, because now, for this to be a meaningful turn one, they're at least going to be able to draw 2 off of Maxi, possibly 4 cards if they add a Full Loss on top of it. Full Loss, going to check for the Ash or a Call by the Grave. There's none, so then we're going to toss a Maxi on top of it. None. And there's no way to call this off. It's just like, whoop, draw 2, and we can't, it's not even worth it to Branded Fusion, right? Right? Valor negate the Albur. We're not going to be going for a Branded Fusion play. That'd be crazy. Set Super Poly, pass. Mercurier, dead. Kit, dead. Super freaking dead. Super Poly is our only, real play here that could go into a form of disruption. Cartesia into Grangranol. That could maybe be a disruption if we get this popped off early. Then they summon a monster through a monster effect like the Beaver. But if Beaver's their first play, that's not going to work, because then by summoning a Quem could reborn the Albaz that the Quem will send. Then Albaz can then fuse to the opposing side of the field. So we kind of have Super Poly plus potentially an Albaz fusion, plus potentially into what it fuses into, plus the Mercurier being turned on by that Albaz fusion. It's 4 disruption, but the 3 extra disruptions are insanely super conditional that it's likely not going to happen. But because it's branded, you never know. Senjin, summon. We may want to get Cartesia activated early. Just saying. You know what I'm saying. We got 2 Millenniums in the field plus the Wedju Temple. Send both back row for the Doom Dragon. We may go into Grangranol now. Now, if we summon Grangranol early and Doom Dragon push it into the back row, that would have been bad. So this is a really good moment to have waited until the Doom Dragon summon happens. There we go. Beaver will trigger the Grangranol. Ash negate the Grangranol. I think saving Ash for the second effect of Grangranol to summon from the deck the Quem would have been better. This maybe would have been best sending probably a Garura to draw a card. All right, Grangranol's going to trigger right now. Off of the Requiem. It's happening. We're making plays. Quem sent Albaz. So we have the Albaz in graveyard. We have the 4 disruptions kind of turned on here. But now we met one condition. There's another condition that has to be met. And that simply is Quem has to not die. If they just try to go to battle phase, we could try to super poly them. But how do we super poly a light and a fire? Like, that doesn't work out, right? Are they willing to give up their battle phase? Or they can Engraver, just deal with the Quem by sending it to the graveyard. But now we could super poly before the Engraver sends it. You turned on my Super Poly, which turns on the Quem to reborn Albaz to fuse with your Doom Dragon to now go into a Mirror Jade, which turns on the Mirror Courier and was a disruption through, like, the conditions have all been met. Thank you. What'd I say? Let's go. This is the way. You had the counter, but now you're getting countered by setting it up for me. This triggers Quem, so we used up 1 disruption. We reborn to use our other disruption. We do lose the Mercurier, unfortunately. We'll have another card to discard, but at least we have a Mirror Jade after this for the non-target monster banish. The problem is, while this is very good against Spright, not if they have a Beaver or if they have a starter. So these are literally the 2 cards that counter Mirror Jade, because Mirror Jade can only banish 1. So what do we do now? We now don't have an effective single card banish, which, ideally is going to be their regular normal summon. Red now negates the Mirror Jade. I think we just lose now, huh? Yeah, it was good. We were able to meet all the conditions. We did it well. We played it well. We played around Doom Dragon. We perfectly super polyed. The Rinbrum could reborn Albaz, which already activated. We also have no card to discard. Red, as I said, negates the Mirror Jade. Rinbrum, we're just flailing our arms here. This is not going to do anything. We're just reborning because it's the last time we can. On the resolution of the Gigantic Spright, we could not summon the Albaz. Yeah, now Alubur is not rebornable thanks to the Gigantic Spright. If you deal with the Mirror Jade could at least wipe away the field. What do we do? What do we do? How's this game? Well, the Mosquito plus 3 other bodies is reflect the highest attack on the field 3 times. 3,000 times 3 is, yeah, that is the game. Apply the counter, and then 3 attacks, deal damage with the counter. Ovidiuk, you mad lad. Lethal damage. Boy, oh boy. Both players played that really well. And I'm looking at my scoreboard and I'm upset to see that that was a 2-0. Damn. Thank you, YouTube, for watching the top 16, as we'll be advancing in the very next video, a must-watch Ryu-Ge versus Crystron in the top freaking 8 plus grand finale and top deck list. Let's go.